This is a model that I am really excited to share with you guys today. This is the RX-200 Falchion-Class Assault Tank, aka the Republic Stun Tank from the Zillo Beast arc of the Clone Wars. This thing was so much fun to design. I'm really excited to share with you guys all the play features and everything that I was able to pack into this, and especially the price in comparison to some official LEGO prices that are going on nowadays. But we'll talk about all that and more later on in the video, including some of those design compromises that sometimes just have to be made. But allow me to first inform you that if you would be at all interested in building this for yourself, there is a link in the description to the Rebrickable page. There you can get complete PDF instructions as well as a complete parts list for easy ordering. Well, I guess I get to start off this video talking about the play features on this thing. All the other MOCs that I've done for Rebrickable have been more stationary display sets up until this point, so I really had a lot of fun designing some of the play features on this thing, and I'm excited to show you guys what all I was able to pack in. So, of course, with this being an artillery vehicle in the Star Wars universe, the main play feature is obviously the rotatable cannon up top. As I'm sure you've noticed by now, there is a little knob down here in the back that you can twist to rotate the cannon a full 360 degrees. Of course, the actual arm of the cannon itself angles up and down, and you can pose it in any position you want. It can be a little bit finicky at times just because it's so long and heavy, but generally it works pretty well. If you do want to build this for yourself, I will go ahead and warn you that spinning the cannon from the cannon makes this noise. I'm not sure what's making that clicking, but as far as I can tell, it doesn't damage anything, it's just really obnoxious. But that's okay because I think that the knob is quite frankly easier anyways. As you may notice, it is sunk in pretty far between these two columns back here, and I did that so that if you look at this thing from the side, it's not sticking out way far because that's just an eyesore, but even if you have big fat fingers like me, it really isn't that much of a problem. I mean, if your thumbs are really big, you'll definitely bump into the walls on the side, but overall, I think that sinking it in just a little bit for the aesthetic purpose is well worth it. And you can easily modify it to stick out farther if you wanted to. While we're here looking at the back, I suppose that I'll also show you this little compartment here where you can fit in extra blasters and even a full lightsaber. Definitely a good place to throw in some extra thermal detonators too. There's a second weapon storage on the right side of the vehicle here. If you go ahead and slide that out, it'll reveal a weapons rack with room for 8 blasters and 2 clips for your spring-loaded shooters. Yes, I did attach spring-loaded shooters to this thing, but don't worry, they're pretty well integrated into the design of this ship. The tails don't stick out the back at all, and the firing mechanisms just look like more greebling. To fire off your spring-loaded shooters, once they're loaded back in, all you have to do is push forward on one of those little protrusions, and it launches off pretty well. I've always been somebody who really likes spring-loaded shooters on LEGO sets, so being able to integrate this whole mechanism was really satisfying for me, and I'm really glad that I was able to do this. Now, sitting just in front of where the spring-loaded shooters are is the cockpit, and yes, you can fit a full minifigure in there, and the best part is he doesn't even have to lean back that far. This is as far as he needs to lean back to fit in there, and that is a lot more than you can say for most LEGO Star Wars sets nowadays. It's super easy to take him out, super easy to put him back in, and you can see him right there through the cockpit window. It looks pretty cool, I think. Here's a better look at that cockpit there. I'm trying to get in as much sunlight as possible, but there's 2 control panels in there, there's a pair of handlebars, and a couple of lights. And it's really a pretty roomy cockpit. And that isn't the only place where you can store minifigures. There is a compartment on the side where you have seats for 4 additional clone troopers. It's a pretty simple seat design. It's also the same seat design that I used in the cockpit, but hey, it gets the job done. There's a reason why it shows up on so many LEGO sets. It closes back up nice and easy, and it is about as gapless of a design as you can possibly hope for. I suppose that while we're here, I'll go ahead and show you what the inside of this area looks like. The back wall is a little bit exposed, which is unfortunate. You can just see some of the mechanisms with the spring-loaded shooters and the cannon back there, but there's still a lot less exposed Technic framing and structure than in sets like the new MTT, so I think I'll go ahead and give myself a little pass on that. Now I think I've shown you just about all the play features, aside from the second most important one, that of course being the 8 pairs of wheels on the bottom. I mean, they work great, they work exactly like you would expect wheels to work. Nothing really special or unique about them, just the fact that they're there is what matters. And now to wrap up the play features and kick off the durability and handling, here is the carrying handle for this thing. Now this is a very awkward carrying handle, I'll admit. Trying to put a carrying handle on this thing was just really weird. Just with the shape of this tank, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to have a carrying handle, since, you know, the center of gravity is kind of like right underneath the turret there. But I know that they're on most LEGO sets this size, and so I at least wanted to have it on there just as an option for people who like to use it, but I think that most of you will probably just want to hold it from any of these other spots that work just as well, if not better, because it's not in such a weird spot underneath the turret. And really, you can pick this up from just about anywhere on the model. I mean, obviously there are some places that you don't want to grab it by, like the turret, for example, but anything that's like attached to the actual main frame of the ship, you can grab it by there, pick it up, swoosh it around, even though it's a ground vehicle and you're probably not really going to be swooshing it. But the point is, the option is there if you so desire, I guess. It is built tough, and it is built to withstand a lot of that kind of rougher play. I will say, though, that you cannot pick this one up by the panels, but frankly, that's okay, because on this one, the panels are all considerably smaller than they are on the official turbo tank from this year, and they're not really a natural grab point. You're not going to instinctually try to pick it up from the panels like you would on the new turbo tank. And to really hit home just how strong the actual structure of this thing is, here I am dropping it from about 3 feet above the ground. As you can see, the actual structure of this is pretty much completely intact. Panels with hinge connections fell off, which is to be expected, but overall, the actual structure of this didn't come apart at all. So yeah, if you wanted to give this to a kid or something to play with, don't be worried about it, like, at all. I mean, I would feel completely comfortable handing this over to a younger cousin or something, as long as, you know, they hadn't, like, been picking their nose or whatever 2 minutes before. This thing is pretty robust. Now, before I move on to design compromises, I just wanted to go ahead and give you guys a side-by-side with some official LEGO sets that are a similar size or price. Here it is next to the ATTE. It's quite a bit shorter, but it's also considerably longer and much wider. Here it is next to the new Separatist MTT from this year. As you can see, it is much larger than the Separatist MTT. It's actually kind of ridiculous that the parts cost for this RX-200 is only about $15 more than the MTT. Now, I do not own the 2025 Clone Turbo Tank, nor do I ever really plan on owning it, but here it is next to the 2016 version, which is actually larger than what's on shelves right now. And as you can see, even though the RX is not as tall as the Turbo Tank, it does have a larger footprint. So overall, I would say that the RX does have a better value than the 2025 Turbo Tank, which is just really sad, because it was not that long ago that custom sets were about 3 or 4 times more expensive than official LEGO sets. And now here they are offering a similar or better value. I do, however, have to give the nod to LEGO in this case when it comes to proportional accuracy, because I'll admit it, this is bad. Like, really bad. If you look at images of the in-universe design for this thing, it's pretty apparent that the dome is pretty large relative to the rest of the tank. And that is clearly not the case here. Ideally, either the dome should be a lot larger or the rest of the tank should be a lot smaller. And here's why I decided not to do either of those things. It was really important to me to be able to have a minifigure fit in the cockpit. That was non-negotiable. So already this front area here had to be a minimum of 4 studs wide. Now, in order to have this as structurally sound as I wanted, I also needed to have these sides thickened up a lot. That way you can still hold it by the front of the build or either of these 2 side mandibles without it falling apart on you. So between my personal minifigure requirement and my personal stability requirements, the size of this front here, and by extension the size of the back, was already set in stone. I couldn't shrink it anymore. So, since I couldn't shrink the body, that meant that the only other option was to enlarge the cannon. Now, LEGO does make some of these larger quarter dome pieces on the left here, but those are about $15 a pop on average compared to $1.50 a pop on average for the smaller dome size on the right. So while I could have used these large, very rare dome pieces to beef up the turret and make it more accurate to the size of the body, I didn't want to increase the price of this by a full $60. Potentially even up to $90 depending on how the price fluctuates from day to day. And while I certainly could have brick built around design, I really don't like that aesthetic very much. I wanted the dome to be as smooth as possible, and even just using sloped pieces to cover up the studs still just wouldn't have really sat well with me. So instead of making a ridiculously expensive cannon or a aesthetically ugly cannon, I just went with this design. The slopes aren't steep enough and the cannon is too small. Those are both pretty bad inaccuracies, but I really don't think that I was going to be able to make a brick-built dome look good, and I prefer something that is inaccurate but still looks aesthetically pleasing to something that is technically accurate but just looks atrocious. And that is really the only thing that I am super dissatisfied with about this build. I mean, there's some color blocking that isn't accurate, but there's only so much that you can do before you do need to start using stickers. So I suppose that if there's anybody watching this who wants to make a custom sticker sheet for my model, be my guest, reach out to me, and I would be interested to see what you could come up with. There are a couple of other things that I would like to talk about in terms of design, but this video is already getting a lot longer than I wanted it to be, so let's just go ahead and talk about Bricklink pricing. If you've ever used Bricklink before, hopefully you're using the auto select feature, because that is probably one of the single best things about Bricklink. If you don't know what it is, basically it just goes through and automates your part selections to find you the best combination of stores that will give you the cheapest price possible. Prices on Bricklink tend to fluctuate quite a bit as sellers get new stock or new LEGO sets with new pieces are released, but I've noticed that for this 1700 piece model, the price typically goes between $150 and $180. So yes, you are actually able to purchase all of the parts online for this build for cheaper than the new Clone Turbo Tank. Now, of course, when you factor in shipping and everything, it does climb over $200 fairly quickly, but with shipping factored in and everything, it's going to be about $210, $220 max. But considering the fact that this model has more than double the pieces of the new Clone Tiny Tank, and that on any given day, it'll only cost you about 40% more than the Clone Tiny Tank, I say that this is a way better deal than what LEGO is offering right now, which is so sad. The instructions for this on Rebrickable are $11, which is a lot more than anything I've put out on Rebrickable before, but this is also a lot larger than anything I've put out on Rebrickable before. Guys, I actually don't profit off of Rebrickable. The only model that I've actually made a profit on is the Venator, and I think I've broke even with the Munificent, but that's really about it. I like to try and keep the prices as low as possible for you guys while still being able to at least recuperate some of just the shipping costs. Designing these is actually more expensive than you'd think, and it makes me pretty jealous of the guys up in Billund who have everything that they could ever need right then and there at their fingertips. But that's okay, I still have a lot of fun building and designing these, even if I don't ever make a profit on them. And with this video now reaching past 15 minutes, I'll go ahead and end it right here. Again, link down in the description. Comment below what your thoughts are on this. Was the design compromise that I made worth it for the structural stability and the price cutting measures, or should I have just gone for a less stable or 5 times more expensive build? Oh, and if you wanted to check out that Venator or that Munificent MOC that I showed earlier, you can go ahead and check that out on the end screen here.